Welcome to another exciting episode of Pastor Grace and Relationship Podcast. In this podcast, we talk about how to be a healthy single, how to prepare yourself for marriage, how to find your life partner, and also how to do marriage God's way. I know you're being blessed, and I encourage you to share these episodes with your friends and family because they need these truths too. Let's get into our episode today. We're talking about how marriage is done God's way, and how marriage is supposed to be based on love, wisdom, and trust. And one of the things about love is this. Love is knowing the needs of your loved one and catering to their needs unconditionally without expecting anything in return. I'm basically paraphrasing what Dr. Miles Monroe had to say about love. But isn't this what love is all about? You know their need, which is legitimate, and you meet their need consistently without expecting anything in return. That's love. So talking about needs in marriage, see, the men have different needs than women. God has created us distinctly and differently. And when you talk about these needs, there are a few correlated needs that we're talking about. The previous episodes, we've been talking about how the woman needs love. She doesn't just want love or desire love. She needs love to function as a woman. And in the same way, there is a correlated need in the male, which is respect. Love and respect are correlated needs. And when you learn to balance these two needs effectively, you will reap the benefits of it. And here is another correlated need. Here's another pair. Are you ready? Sexual fulfillment and affection. Now, in the previous episode, we saw how the male has a very important need when it comes to his sexual life. He needs sexual fulfillment. That is one of his topmost needs. But how he gets the need met is a different thing altogether, because there is a correlated need in the life of his wife, his woman. What is that? That is the affection. In other words, sex is the event, but affection is the environment. Remember this, sex is the event. But you don't get to the event without the path, without the process. There's a way you go to it in order to experience utmost fulfillment and pleasure. And the way is affection. The woman needs affection, and in the environment of affection, she caters to the need of the sexual fulfillment of her man. So when these two correlated needs are met and are balanced perfectly, you get a blessed marriage, especially in the area of the sexual health. But when these two correlated needs are not balanced properly, they're not lovingly balanced, they can cause some of the worst conflicts in a marriage. So why this difference? You see, the difference mainly arises because of the design and the purpose of God in their lives. God designed the male for slightly a different purpose than the woman. So based on their purposes, their design is different, and based on their design, the distinct content of their need and how they perform and function and operate are two different things altogether. See, the male was designed to be the source for creating new life through a seed or the sperm. He's the provider of the seed, so naturally, he's inclined towards the event of sex. He's ready to give, ready to provide the seed. And a woman is different. Yes, sir. But a woman is different. She's designed differently. Because she receives the seed and she gestates life. She's an incubator. She has to provide a warm, secure environment for the life to grow in order for her to give birth to a beautiful baby. So her life has a reproductive cycle. She has a menstrual cycle. And the man has to respect the season that the woman is in and make sure he plants the seed in the right environment at the right season. So just because the man is inclined to provide it does not mean that he has to go right for the event of sex, because he might feel satisfied while the wife will not be satisfied. She needs an environment of affection in order for her to receive the seed and nurture it and let the life develop. See, this is the part of her being. She gestates life. See, her role as an incubator naturally focuses on the sensory, intuitive, and the emotional realms of life, and therefore she needs affection. She needs affection. So the way man thinks about sexual union is different to the way woman feels about sexual union. The needs are different. The idea of sexual union is also different. See, the woman needs an environment of affection in order to feel loved and fulfilled. But it's not so for the man. The man may jump into the bed and jump right out of it and feel satisfied. But just because the man is satisfied, it does not mean the woman is satisfied too, because she might be in a place where she didn't receive anything. See, just because the man has gone to the event of sexual union and has done it all, it doesn't mean that the woman also has experienced pleasure and fulfillment. Why? Because she is wired differently. She's been designed differently. She needs the environment of affection in order to feel fulfilled. And in the environment of affection, where the woman opens up herself, her soul and her body completely to her man, it is in this environment that the man has his need fulfilled to the utmost degree. What a wonderful correlated need this is. How wonderfully God has designed the marriage to be. In the environment of affection, where the woman feels loved, satisfied and fulfilled, is the very environment in which the man will have his utmost sexual fulfillment. Now, this difference has been given to us in the Bible, and the Bible clearly says it's the man's job to initiate affection. I'm going to read a couple of scriptures to you. The first one is from Proverbs 5. I'm going to be reading from verse number 15 to 18. Drink water from your own cistern, that is well, and running water from your own well. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be only your own, not for strangers with you. It's talking about two different things. Well and fountain. Well and fountain. Now, what is the wise man talking about? What's the context? Look at verse number 18. Let your fountain be blessed. Rejoice with the wife of your youth. Oh, this is talking about marriage. But which area of marriage are we talking about? Look at verse number 19. As a loving deer and a graceful doe, let her breast satisfy you at all times and always be enraptured with her love. Clearly, this passage is talking about sexual fulfillment. This is talking about sex and marriage. And God compares the woman to a well and the man to a fountain. Now, let's put it in simple terms. Why would God compare a man to a fountain but a woman to a well? Generally speaking, men, their sexual state or the way they think about sex is like that they are a fountain. Water is always flowing, it's ready and it's flowing. In other words, generally the man is ready. He's ready for the event of sexual union. But the woman is like a well, where water is there, but it's deep down into the well. You've got to put your pail into the well, drop your bucket into the well, and by means of a rope, you draw the water out. You draw it out of the well. The man is always ready, but the woman has to be drawn out. The woman has to be cultivated. Just because you're a farmer does not mean that you just go, throwing seeds along the field. No, you prepare the field, you cultivate the field in order for the seed to germinate and bring much fruit. Friend, the man is like a fountain. He's always ready, generally speaking. But the woman is like a well. You've got to draw her out. You've got to draw the desire out. And then that is called affection. The way you draw a woman out into that place of sexual union where she is fulfilled and you are fulfilled too, that is called affection. So affection is the environment and sex is the event. Now this has to be initiated by the man. Look at 1 Corinthians 7 and verse number 3. In the New King James Version, we read, let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, likewise also the wife to her husband. You notice that the context is talking about sexual union. What an amazing word to be used in the context of sexual union, affection. God calls sexual union that the husband initiates and leads the wife into must be in the environment of affection. He says, give her the affection that is due. The husband and the wife together, when they come together, affection is the environment in which sexual union attains its ultimate pleasure. So it's the man's job to initiate it. Now, what is affection? It's the environment in which a marriage can grow into health. It is also that which appeals to the nature of the woman as her being an emotional being. So when you know and understand that a woman is your emotional being, affection must be your response. But the problem is that man generally is not naturally affectionate. The male is not naturally affectionate, and the male does not know how to give it. Now, one reason could be that the man did not grow up in a family where there was affection shown. Maybe he did not have a father who showed his affection to his mother. He did not see his dad loving his mother in a way it needs to be done. So he has no idea how to show affection. And one of the most effective things that a husband can do in these situations is sit down with his wife and speak to her and tell her, tell me how to be affectionate. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I want to learn. Show me how to be affectionate. And that is one of the most important things. All right. So remember, sex is the event, but affection is the environment in which sex can be culminated to a place of ultimate pleasure and mutual satisfaction and completion and fulfillment. So how do we show affection? Let me give you 3 simple things that will help you as a man to show affection to your wife. Okay, now remember, the number one thing is to go to your wife, sit down and speak to her and be all ears and listen in, lean into her heart and know how she feels affection. All right, so as a husband, your number one duty is to sit down with your wife and, of course, get the information that you need. But as a pastor from the Word of God, I would like to give you 3 things that will help you be more affectionate, or rather, show your affection to your wife. Number 1, simple acts of service because you care. Do simple acts of service. Kevin Lehman, in his book Music Sheets, he writes, sex does not begin in the bedroom. It begins in the kitchen and in the living room. Now, of course, he's not talking about the event. He wants us to know that sex is not a relationship per se. Sex is the overflow of the relationship you have in your marriage. In other words, it's not that you have much sex and then your marriage flourishes, even though it plays an important part in the flourishing of your marriage. He says that sexual relationship or sexual union is only an overflow of the healthy relationship you already have. It ought to be an overflow of the relationship you already have. So it doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the kitchen when you do the dishes with your wife. And if you know how to cook, help your wife in cooking, or maybe you want to go out and purchase groceries, that is showing affection. Yes, maybe you can come home early one day and say, why don't you take a nap? Let me take care of the kids and let me finish all the chores that are yet to be done. You know, this is affection. Affection is coming back home and then finding that the house is in a bit of disorder. You tell your wife, hey, relax, I'm here. Let me take charge. Let me clean up the living room. Let me help you. See, those simple acts of service will definitely speak affection into the heart of your wife. You know why? Because you care. You care. Why don't you come home early from the office one day and say, hey, go spend some time, go out shopping, here's some cash, go enjoy yourself, relax, let me take care of the kids. You can do that as a husband. When you do that, when you help her around the house, when you do those little acts of service, you are showing affection to your wife. And number 2, do little acts of joy because you are thinking of her. Every time you think of her, why don't you do something that shows her that you're thinking of her? Why don't you send her a message? Just a text saying, I love you, I'm thinking of you. Just send her a text saying, I thank you because you're a blessing in my life. Come on. Well, don't wait for an occasion. Just buy her a card on the way. Buy her a bouquet of flowers and just tell her, I love you, you look so beautiful. Come on, you don't have to wait for an occasion. What is that? See, that is showing the fact that you appreciate her, you value her, you acknowledge her presence in your life as a blessing, and you're thinking of her. All these things, they're not done in the bedroom. They are done all through the day, little acts of affection. So number 1, simple acts of service because you care. Help her with the chores around the house. And number two, little acts of joy because you're thinking of her. Thinking of her. I mean, plenty of, cards and words and flowers that show her that you esteem her and you value her. And number three, gentle touches of love because you cherish her. You see, the woman has twice as nerve endings in her skin as a man does. That means her whole body is wired for her loving husband's touches of love, so that she can be soothed in her frayed nerves and be calm even in her emotions. Every time the husband touches her gently, gives her a hug or a kiss or a massage or holds her hand and puts his arm around her shoulders, and all of these acts of love, they soothe her soul as well, not just the body. Friend, your wife's skin has twice as nerve endings as you do. She is wired to receive your emotional touches of love. That is important. So when you come back home, why don't you give her a hug? Why don't you, greet her with a kiss? Why don't you hug her? And also it means, when you hug your wife, she needs that affection. Now, when your wife wants a hug, it does not mean that you pick her up and you carry her all the way to the bedroom. No, it does not mean that she wants sex there. Friend, she wants affection. So plenty of hugs and kisses and gentle touches of love. As you go out shopping, you carry all the bags and you hold her hand. Come on. And then, you take care of her in a way that she knows that you cherish her. All that speaks affection. All that speaks affection. A real man holds the hands of his woman. Okay, not that she will go out shopping and he's got to hold her hand very tightly. Well, not in that sense, but in a sense where she knows that he is with her, he loves her and he cherishes her. And when this man holds on to her hand long enough, he will reap the benefits of his affection. Right? So give her gentle touches of love because you cherish her. You cherish her. This is so important. You see, as a pastor, I've had the opportunity of counseling many couples, and I sometimes hear women cry. They say things like, I feel like I'm just being used by this man. I am in the house, I'm working, I'm taking care of the kids and all the chores and all the work to do, the cooking and the washing. And then my husband comes home and he directly gets to the event of sex. What is this? Am I a prostitute that he can use? I've heard women cry saying, he doesn't, talk to me all through the day, doesn't care for me, doesn't show his affection, and now he wants sexual union. Friend, let your wife not feel that way too. Be the man who is affectionate. Give your wife the due affection that she needs. When you cultivate that environment of affection, you get that sexual union that satisfies you and fulfills you. Because men, they don't know this truth and they don't know how to show affection. They come home and they realize that the wife is not opening up really, and he's not really satisfied in his sexual life. And he's bound to go somewhere and say, what is happening with my woman? What does she need? I am working all day long to provide for her needs, to provide a home, and provide her clothes, and to our children, I'm working hard. What more does she need? Friend, it's not that she needs more. I think you need more information. You need more knowledge. The knowledge is this: your woman needs affection. It's not just working hard and buying her expensive gifts. It's also taking care of her emotional needs. Number one, simple acts of service that show that you care. Number two, little acts of joy that show you are thinking of her. And number three, gentle touches of love because you cherish her and you love her and you want to be with her. When you do these things, when you give your woman the affection due, your marriage will flourish, and very specifically, your sexual life will flourish and your sexual union will be blessed. You will have a wonderful sexual life. So remember, this is a correlated need. Affection for the woman that has to precede intimacy in marriage. When there is affection, sexual need is met and sexual life is satisfactory. So remember these truths and share with all your friends and your family. Let them be blessed too. I'm going to be talking more about, sex in marriage and how to have a great sex life with your spouse in the episodes to come. So stay connected, get all our teachings, and may God bless you.